I make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want.
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. I'm a exercise and sports science degree holder is what I am. I am a personal trainer and coach for over 10 years, and I've been training in gyms in over 20 years. And today I'm going to take you through my pull workout. This is the end of a week 8 of a fat loss phase for me, with 1 week to go. So I'm going to show you how I put together the pull workout on this day and give you an update on how the fat loss phase is going. So the workout for today, it's a back or a pull workout. So that'll involve back, biceps, rear delts, if you count them into your back as well, or you count them aside from your back. And we start off with lat dominated movements first, and then we move into the upper back stuff. So exercise number 1, we're going to go machine pullover. So pretty close to a lat isolation exercise. You can't, in my mind or in my understanding, you can't isolate lats perfectly well, because if you go to do what we're going to do today, rear delts will work, triceps will work, because they both attach to your arm and to your scapula. Anyway, that's probably a bit too much detail for the intro. Then we're going to do a unique exercise that I started last week called the kneeling hammer strength single arm plate loaded row, which you'll get a little clip of here in a second here. And yeah, it's really effective, feels quite good. There's no plate loaded pull down variation here at this gym, and that one feels good. There are some downsides, which I'll discuss when we get to the movement itself. Next up, we started this up alongside that single arm hammer strength row. We're going to go narrow reverse mag seated row. So the mag grip just being the funky looking grip where you wrap your fingers around. We're going to do a seated row variation with that grip. Again, if the pull down variation was trying to target the lower lats, that seated row is more about the upper lats, because one is horizontal, one is vertical. Then we move into the upper back stuff, or stuff that's more biased towards the upper back, you might say. So we're going chest supported, neutral grip, plate loaded row. So that is, we're going to change variations this week, change the angle a touch, because I've been doing a particular one for a long period of time and it's not feeling as effective as it once did. So we'll switch variations up today. Then we're doing a lean forward, plate loaded row again, dual compound row. So you'll see that I lean forward in that particular version to try and target a different part of my upper back. And then on this day as well, we're going to chuck in some lateral delt work, because I want to get some extra volume and it makes sense to do it on this day. So we've got a superset with our delt work and our curl variation today. So exercise 1 is a MedX machine lateral raise. So a really good lateral raise machine here that feels really effective. Very, you don't see them too often, this type of machine, so I'll show you that. And then alongside that, we're going lying elbow supported dumbbell curl. So it's another variation that's a bit unusual but feels really effective. And then we are going to go some sort of rear delt fly movement. So either I've been doing a Y raise kind of action, there's a rear delt machine here, probably some sort of rear delt fly, probably coming from high to low, but you'll see on the screen there for a little clip. And that will do us for the day. So early morning session, no one's in this gym, nice and quiet, very exclusive. Week 8 of the fat loss phase coming to a close, feeling pretty ordinary on the whole, like a motivation to train. Actually, no, it's not on the whole. It's just a bit up and down. So yesterday felt good, today not good, and that's kind of how it's been. It's a bit of a pain in the ass to not feel consistently good every day, but that's how we do. The fat loss component's going well though, so you've got to be happy with that. And yeah, that shall do. Let's rip into the workout. So we'll head straight over to the machine pullover, and again, trying to target the lats, a little bit of pre-fatigue before we go into our compound movements. Let's go get it. All right, machine pullover coming first. So machine pullover is going to be this kind of action like this. And if you think of all of our back or pulling movements, essentially what's happening at the upper arm is we are going through different movements like that. So we call that shoulder extension. Now, one of the benefits of the machine pullover is we don't bend the elbow at the same time, like pull downs or rows or anything like that. So we get the bicep out of the game. But alongside this, if you think about the rear delts back here, it touches to the deltoid tuberosity onto the scapula. So that might be able to help on this movement, as well as the long head of the tricep also passes and attaches into the scapula. So that can help here, but at least we take the bicep out of the game. So the idea is with this, we try and pre-fatigue the lats a little bit, feel them, isolate as much as possible, go do our rows and really be able to have that connection with them. And we call that a mind to muscle connection. It might not be the most important thing in the world, but may as well tick that box as well. So if you don't have a machine pullover, which in my experience not all gyms do, a lat prayer would be a comparable movement where you set a bar or ropes up at a cable machine and you have that dragging down motion like that. This gym has this machine pullover, so I use this, but on other days I've done lat prayers I do a lying lat prayer. Like, there's a whole bunch of variations. This is not a non-negotiable. So you've got this foot pedal here, we push away, we get our elbows onto the pad. You've got this up here, you can either go overhand or underhand. I've moved to doing underhand, that feels quite effective for me. Let this foot pedal off, drag down, and you are thinking about that shoulder extension movement. Foot pedal back on, let it back. So going through a nice range of motion, deep stretch in the lats as best you can, and then driving down, again, getting that extension, feeling the lat pull the arm down as best you can. All right, we've got a couple extra kgs to add, and then we are on. All right, next up we have the, what do we call it? Kneeling hammer strength row / pull down or something like that. So we've got this hammer strength row machine, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a handle and we're going to kneel beside it and we're going to pull down. And you think, why the fuck are you doing that? So a couple of reasons. This gym doesn't have a plate loaded pull down in this kind of thing. Well, it has a variation, but I'm not a massive fan of it. That's number one. Number two, the resistance on this is improved actually when you bring it back, because if you think about this on a hinge, this hinge here, basically the closer that weight gets to this hinge, the easier the movement gets. So if you think about it being directly on top like that, there's essentially no weight going back that way anymore. It gets heavier, 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 heavier till this is at the heaviest. If you use this machine conventionally, it's hard at the beginning. Easier at the beginning, gets really hard in here. So that would be another thing to improve the resistance on this for not only the pulling muscles, but also potentially muscle growth, making it harder in the stretch position and easier in the shortened position, because your back is usually stronger here and weaker here, so that kind of counteracts that, and potentially in the stretch position, muscle growth is better. Anyway, let me explain how we do it. So essentially I'll reach over. So the setup is where it has its downfall, and getting into position is particularly hard. I noticed after trying this last week for the first time that I think my hand was a little low, so I'm going to go a little higher on the handle. We come back with it in this position here, pull down into the pocket. So we want to line up with this machine such that my hand is nice and close to my body, because if we think about lats, usually they're best suited when the arm is close to the body to do the job, instead of when the arm comes away, like when we go to train our upper back later. So we line up such that we're going to go straight into that pocket like that and pulling our arm back and down. So a downside of doing this is getting into position is a little bit challenging. So I'm not going to use a particularly heavy weight. I'm going to use a moderate weight and do more reps, and that's fine. But that is a downside, and I haven't quite been able to think through how to make this better and get into position, maybe something stocked up under those or whatever it might be, but I haven't quite figured it out yet at this gym, which take a bit of working out, but yeah, it feels really effective. It's just, yeah, getting into positions not so easy. So in short, we're making it hard in the lengthened position, and we're kind of lining it up so it's a pull down variation, and yeah, targeting the lower lats with this version. All right, let's get some weight over here and let's begin. All right, next we are going with a seated row variation with the mag grip. That's kind of like a reverse. They call this mag, maximum advantage. And we're going to do a pull in like this, obviously. So if we think about that pull down hammer strength version, it's kind of coming down. When things kind of angle down, it's expected that they bias more towards the lower lats. So lats are a muscle that come in, they'll touch the front of your arm, they'll wrap in around the rib cage, head in towards your spine, the thoracic area of your spine, and then some of it will start to head down. So if we're pulling down, it's theorized that that will bias the lower lats. If we're pulling horizontally, it's theorized that that will target the thoracic or upper lats. So I'm inclined to get a movement in of both on most back workouts just to make sure we are ticking those boxes. And yeah, I've chosen this grip last week just because I tried a few and this one felt pretty good to me. And that's really all the rationale I have surrounding that. I want to make sure it's horizontal, make sure I'm dragging my arm this way, not just bicep curling it real high. So I'll grab the handles, get my feet on the platform. I don't mind a lean forward for this, get you a nice big lat stretch, and then drag in. Beautiful, nothing to it. You could choose all the other hand positions that you like. I think the thing to keep in mind is the job of the lat. If you ignore this part of your arm for a second, it's to pull that back and around. So you want movements that do that versus like bicep curling or something like that. So you choose the handle that feels good for you, but yeah, be thinking about that. I want my arm, this part of my arm, to go back and around so we can focus on what we want to focus on. All right, let's build it on up. All right, lats done. Now we move into stuff that's more biased towards the upper back. So of most recent times, I've been doing a plate-loaded low row, which has been coming from low to high. I'm going to change over to this chest supported variation. It does have a slight kind of upward, path to it, but ultimately, just after a little bit of a variation, that one was feeling not as effective as it once was. So we're going to change up a little bit. I have played around on this machine when I first started here, and I wasn't a massive fan, but I didn't give it a really good shot. I didn't give it a couple of weeks to kind of practice. When set up like this, so I've set the seat all the way to the top, the furthest away it can go, it feels pretty good, and the resistance is such that it's quite good. So what can happen with these plate-loaded machines is that they can essentially, because they're on a hinge, they get lighter or heavier depending on how far the weight is from the hinge. So like a movement like this, if it's all the way over there, that's easier portion, kind of gets to here and it's hard, and then it starts to get easy again because of that hinge. So I've kind of set myself up such that this is the furthest away it can be, making it as hard as it can be at that beginning, and then we squeeze shoulder blades together as we row. So it's got a subtle upward path to it. And again, I've just been playing around off camera and stuff about where to place my hands, and I think they're going to be low, and we're going to squeeze. So I'm looking forward to trying this one and giving it an actual crack, build up the weight, see if it is good or not good. There's a couple machines down here which are pin loaded, which are okay, but I want to see if this one can feel okay with decent weight and giving it a good practice run. All right, and I don't know what weight we're going to lift, so we'll have to figure that out on the fly here. All right, next up we have the lean forward plate loaded row. So I do a different variation of this on the other day, and the idea is that as far as the upper back goes, it might, well, let's go trap specifically, it might do a couple of different functions like raise the shoulders up, raise them up and back, raise them back, and even downwardly depress them. So with that in mind, if we train the different functions of the scapulars or the traps, then we hopefully will get everything overall to grow. Now it's possible that just, movements like the row variation we just did will do the whole trick, but I'm inclined, if we have multiple exercise selection options, to do them just in case. So this I'm calling a lean forward row, and essentially it's going to have me lean forward into this kind of position. So if that previous row kind of came this way and slightly dipped up, we're kind of thinking, that mid part of the upper back to upper back, or the upper part of the upper back. If we're trying to now target the lower part, I'm going to lean forward, row this like this, and therefore, because of the different orientation of my body, we'll hopefully get the scapulars to move down like that. The other thing that I do is I use these yoga blocks, and they'll essentially just push me further away to allow a larger range of motion. So one goes on like such, other one on, same on the other foot. And now I just have a bit of freedom of like how far to lean forward. I'll strap in. I'm taking an overhand or like a palms facing down kind of position. Get that tension, pull, squeeze the shoulder blades. And because I am lean forward, it just means that my body's different, but the weight's coming the same. So it's that downward movement of the scapulars, hopefully focusing on the lower traps. All right, this will be the last back movement, so that's going well. Spirits are high. Let's finish off this, and then we've got some shoulders and arms. Sucks. Alright, next up we have this machine lateral raise. This is quite a unique lateral raise variation. Most of them these days you see have these pads and they go directly out to the side. This has got this kind of angled one that kind of goes on a, probably not 45-degree angle, but something over in that way. Feels really effective. So I've been working on this one for the last couple of months and pretty good. Progress is getting pretty tough these days, but we keep chipping away. So again, elbows on the inside, raising out in that direction there, control the down, gentle tap, raising out. So I sprinkle a little bit of lateral delt volume in on this day because it just makes sense and it fits here. So I have 2 other push days in the week and there's just not a lot of room to get more shoulder work, which that is where the other lateral delt work is. My last push day was 48 hours ago, so this should be okay to go here, and it has so far been okay as far as recovery. Now, I usually do this along with a bicep curl variation, but I'm really not in the mood to go back and forth, change the camera and stuff like that. So I think I'll just do my sets here and then do my sets over there. And then, yeah, do it normally as a superset. So a superset can kind of save time, especially these muscle groups shouldn't affect each other. So this is lateral delt, that would be bicep. Don't affect each other too much, so I can save time. But for today, I just don't really feel like moving back and forth. So I'm going to do all my sets here, go over there, do all my sets over there. Let's go. Alright, next up we have this unique bicep curl variation. So I call this a lying elbow supported dumbbell curl. Now, a standard dumbbell curl, where we're in this position, has potential, like 2 potential downsides. Number 1, we don't fully stretch out one of the main muscles in the upper arm or the bicep, called the bicep brachii. Well, that's kind of the main one. When people talk biceps, they're talking bicep brachii. So because both heads of this muscle pass over your shoulder, pass over into your shoulder or scapula, and also past the elbow. So what that means is a straight elbow is a somewhat straightened bicep, or bicep brachii, but arm behind the body in these kind of position potentially stretches it out a little bit more. That's number 1. Number 2, a standard bicep curl, dumbbell, barbell, whatever, doesn't get to the hardest position until we start to go up against gravity. So if we're here, we can kind of go through that motion, and then we kind of run into a really difficult spot here where our elbow's at 90 degrees, and then we go up against gravity. So that may be a downside. It may not be like a major concern. I mean, truth to the fact is that it's probably not a concern, but yeah, this is just another variation of throwing your routine. It has theoretical benefit. For me, standard bicep curls for me haven't felt very effective in my training career, but when I've done these ones in lengthened positions, that they've felt much more effective, so I do them that way. Not exclusively, like in the last training program I had a preacher curl, and there's some merit to the preacher curl as far as regional hypertrophy or regional muscle growth, growing some different parts of the bicep. because of that, there are some muscles through your arm that actually don't attach into your shoulder. So that might train that a little bit better. So yeah, they're all just variations to kind of throw and play around with over time. Anyway, so the lying elbow supported dumbbell curl. We'll take a couple of dumbbells. One of the downsides is getting into position and set up here, which probably means that weights will not be the heaviest weights that you lift. I personally would keep this in the 10 to 15 or 10 to 20 rep range, such that we don't have to haul heavy dumbbells into position. Like if you're doing a standard dumbbell curl, you just stand, pick up the dumbbells, go to town. Here, you watch this, we've got to kind of slide down, and we got to get into this kind of position here. So our elbows are on the bench, our arms are a little bit behind the level of our body, we've got a big stretch, and also we're going up against gravity much sooner in the movement. And that's how we kind of counteract those issues with the standard dumbbell curl. Again, if you train each of those different exercises with a high level of difficulty, like they might end up equal, but there is some merit to doing this one, so I do it. All right, we've got a couple of practice sets and then we're on. Alright, next up, rear delt cable fly. So off camera I've been playing around kind of the angle that I want to do for this. So for rear delts I don't really love training them, and so on another day I'm doing a rear delt fly, but from like a horizontalish kind of position. Here I'm making it high to low, which is also a function of the rear delts. Rear delt essentially attaches deltoid tuberosity, side of your arm, and then into your scapula. So you think if it's going from there to there, it's kind of in a good position to be able to pull down, and that's kind of the position that I'm going for. Off camera I played around with this height. I've never done it on this cable machine, this particular variation, so just trying to figure out the height. So what you'll do is you'll grab this one with my left hand, grab on top of the little bauble thing, do the same on the other side, although you've got to kind of shuffle it a bit more because you now don't have that hand available. Then we kind of think that exactly the line in which that angle is coming from, I'm going down into that position. So it might take a few sets to kind of get a handle on this one. I'm not fully certain of what angle I want. I feel like it's going to be this, but not certain. And 2 sets here and we're out. Big juicy workout, back workout. Let's finish her off. All right, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. Very good. Happy with that. Just got to ride the wave at the moment. Some days are good, some days are bad. Emotionally, a bit volatile, you might call it. 1 week left, so this is the end of the training week for this week. 1 more week of fat loss, and then we kind of decide where we want to go next. Do we want to push a little bit further? But there'll be a break in there as far as fat loss goes, so potentially a diet break to recover, to reduce some fatigue and stuff like that. And if we want to push on again, then we can push on again and go to maybe a little bit more leanness, or if I find that that's kind of where I'm happy to be, and start to reverse course and then gain muscle mass again, but also gain fat, then we might make that decision when we get there. Not certain, but we'll make a decision after that when we're a bit more clear of head, a bit less fatigue and all that kind of stuff. All right, as always, guys, if you're liking the content, make sure to hit the little subscribe up here. If you want to watch another video, click the video up here. And as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan signing off.